card, we have decided to highlight a set of cards that were called sentimental conversation cards, which were published in Liverpool in 1770. It was considered incredibly important in the 18th century that you practiced your skills in conversation so that you were able to engage in a polite dialogue that allowed different people to exchange ideas and information, but that was also entertaining and amusing to the people around you. These cards were designed to help you improve and polish your conversational skills, and so each card is illustrated with a different topic for conversation. They were published alongside a booklet that gave suggestions of games that you could use them for in order to improve your skills. For example, 3, 4, 5 or 6 persons being seated around a table. One of them is to shuffle the cards as is usual, previous to the beginning of any other game. They are to deal one by one all round till each person has their number of cards. The dealer is next to turn up a card to serve as the subject upon which the person on the left of the dealer is to commence a discourse, beginning with the word written at the top of that card and ending with one out of his own hand, which he is to put down on naming its title. Suppose, for example, a cottage was turned up. The discourse might begin somewhat in the following manner. A cottage is more frequently the residence of happiness than the noblest hall. Here the player is to put down before him the card inscribed as hall, and the next person is to continue the chain of thought as near as his hand of cards will permit. In this manner it is to go through the whole company, each person in their turn telling their story and depositing their cards before them. We have decided to pair these cards with a trio sonata by Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, which was also written around 1770, although in Berlin rather than England. In this trio sonata, we are playing the second and the third movements, and you hear a different kind of conversation happening between the parts in each one. In the slow movement, it very much feels as though you're telling one long, maybe slightly personal and tragic story, but it very much feels like a story that the violin, the recorder, and also the cello are a part of. They're all participants in the story that they're telling, rather than being narrators. The last movement feels a little bit more like a party, and perhaps some of the conversation here does not follow all of the 18th century rules of polite conversation. While sometimes the parts do add on to ideas each other have had, at other times the recorder or the violin have a sort of outburst of a totally different idea, and the other parts respond almost in a slightly giggly way, chatting amongst themselves. So sometimes you hear the violin have an outburst, and then the recorder and the cello chat between themselves in a sort of private conversation, and sometimes the recorder has a little outburst and the violin and the cello do the same. It's particularly fun to play, and it really highlights the social aspect of chamber music playing. Bye.